homemade Toyota Tundra phone mount. You can't buy one better than this. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to robmotivefst. And that's right, today we're going to make a homemade phone mount for the Toyota Tundra. And I'm doing this because I can't find anything that's better or reasonably priced. So we're going to jump right into it. First of all, and we'll go through this stuff as I go, I guess, and what you need. But you need a piece of tubing. This is 1 inch by 3 foot. You don't actually need 3 foot. But that's what you buy it in. And then a piece of aluminum, 1/8 by 1 inch, again, by 3 foot. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut these into 2 different sections because I'm gonna decide which size I wanna use, either 6 inch or 7 inch. So first off is to cut 2 pieces out of this. We're gonna do that now, of course, just with a hacksaw that cuts metal, pretty easy. Same thing with the aluminum, it's gonna be the backing. You'll see when this all comes together what this is for. And then I have some paint. I'm going to paint it black because obviously I want it to match inside the truck. So I've got some primer, and I'm going to use truck bed coating because it's durable and I like the finish of it. But of course, you can use whatever you want. So let's go ahead, get this stuff cut, and then you'll see as this comes together what I'm doing. Okay, we've got the metal cut here, and all I used to do that was just a hacksaw with a metal cutting blade and a miter box, and one is 7 inches, the other is 6 inches, and you'll see what I'm doing. You got to keep watching, but now I'm going to file off the sharp edges. This part, these metal or aluminum pieces, you're never going to see, but I do want to clean them up for handling purposes, and then of course these you will see. Once they're all painted up and purdy. So let me go ahead and file those off, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, we've got everything knocked off, all the edges. They really cleaned up pretty well, actually. And I think they actually came out fairly straight. They're not perfect, as you can see, but with the naked eye, I don't think you'll be able to tell. So everything is sanded or filed off. Now I have to sand them to rough them up because we're going to prime them and paint them. So I'm going to do that, go ahead and sand them, and then I will clean them with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure we get good adhesion. And of course then we're going to have to let them dry, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First I need to sand and clean. First coat of primer is on. We'll probably put about 2 or 3 coats, maybe more, I don't know, of primer on, and then we'll do the black. Okay, it's been a few days. My pieces have dried, cured, they're all dry. I did not paint the bottoms because I didn't want to mess up the tops by laying them around, and you're not going to see it. It's going to sit like this. So you're not going to see the bottom, so that's okay. Now, the reason I have 4. I couldn't decide which size I wanted, so I bought another piece, as I mentioned. I think I might have mentioned earlier. Now we're going to go over to the truck and see which one I want to go with, because it only takes 1. So I'm going to have 3 left over. And then I've got pieces and parts here until I figure out which way I'm going to put it in. So let's go to the truck. Okay, we're in the truck. Of course it's going to go up here. We do have to drill holes, but the good thing is if you ever wanted to take it out, this is going to be removed. I am not drilling holes through this, so it's not going to be there anymore. If I ever wanted to take these out, I could just unattach them, put this back in, and you'll never know there are holes underneath. So that's one thing I really like about going this method. So now to decide which size rather to use, we'll start with the big ones, I guess, and see. Oops, of course when I did that everything slid down. I don't want that to happen. I'll just set them down. There we go. Okay. That's the first option, and it would go right there like that. Now, It's going to give me lots of space, of course, but I only need two. I mean, there's going to be a ball here and a ball here for a phone there and a phone here. So, I don't know. Looking at that, I'm not sure if I'll use that big one, or I could go with the smaller big one, and it would come closer to the front like so. And if I get it close enough, it almost, you really can't see it, covers up that little slot. And of course you can't see the slots behind it. I like that. So you can't see anything inside the truck. I don't know. It's pretty big. It's pretty massive. Of course, the Tacoma or the Tundra is massive too. Let's check out the smaller ones. We'll go with the longer one first. Here we go. That is a much more sleek look to it, that's for sure. But of course, again, at that distance, you can see the slot here. I could put something in that slot maybe. I don't know if I will or not. Probably not. It doesn't really bother me that much, and once I have stuff up there, you won't be able to see it anyway. So, that's the longer one. Let's check out the smaller one. And it would go right there like that. That's my plan anyway. And I don't know if I can get away with putting it that close to the front of the dash or not. I'll have to see what it's like underneath. I may have to go more in the center. I don't know. In which case, of course, you'll see the slot. In that case, I probably would put something over that slot to cover it. I don't know. But anyway, if I put it there, that's going to give me coverage over the slot and a much lower profile. Of course, if you lean forward, you can see the slots in the back. Again, I don't know if that's a big deal to me, really. So I've got to decide. Meanwhile, while I'm doing that, you guys let me know. What do you think? Would you go with the bigger ones, the longer ones, the shorter ones? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'll let you know what I decided here in a couple minutes. Okay, I have made a decision. I am going with the shorter, bigger mount. Just because I think it will look better in the truck. It is a big truck. Here's the smaller one. And I think it will serve my purposes better in getting the phone up here where I can see it better, because the little rod's going to come up about here. Of course, it's going to point out here towards me. So I think that's going to be better in the long run. So we're going to go with the shorter, bigger bracket, I guess I'll call it. One thing I want to point out, these are silver. They will be black, of course. I can't leave those silver. I think that's going to be the best look. And I am going to go through the mat because I want to mount this thing in the center, and I don't want those slots showing. These mats can't cost much money if I'd ever need to replace one, so not a big deal. I might go ahead and buy one up front anyway, just so I have it to replace when and if I ever trade the truck in. Hint, hint. But I'm going to go right through the mat. Having it back like this shouldn't give me any kind of a dimple in the front. I've noticed with some of the aftermarket ones, they come all the way to the top, and if you put the holes through the mat, they actually pop the front of the mat up, and it doesn't really look very good right across here. So that's what I'm going to do. Next is going to be to remove the center console area here. It's pretty easy. There's 4 bolts that hold the radio in, 4 screws. Everything else just pops out from the bottom going up, just pressure pins, so you pull everything forward. So we're going to do that, and then I'll mark where the holes need to go. There will be a plate underneath corresponding to this bracket itself to kind of sandwich the plastic of the dash in between for better stability. So we're going to do that next. Okay, let's catch you up to where I'm at. I did take the center console part out down here. I don't know if you really need to. It's easy. It just pulls up. Open your center console area here, and it just pulls up right from down there. And then all of this stuff just pulls out. A little tip for you. A couple of pry tools, plastic of course, and for the air control or the HVAC controls, start over here on the left, kind of pull out the edge a little bit, use your other pry tool, your second one, to hold in the slot you've opened up while you kind of easily go across. It pulls right out. The next two, or one rather, up here comes out really easily, and then the 4 screws on the radio, of course, 2 here in the front, 2 there in the back. They come out. Make sure you don't drop those screws back there, because that'll ruin your day. Pull it all out, that's it. Now, up at the top, I've laid it out where I want it. I marked everything off. Let's pull this away now. And then I drilled the holes through the cover itself, you can see, which you'll never see once I have my bracket up there. And then I used those holes to mark where I'm going to have the holes through the dash right here. Pretty simple. Down below is where the bolts will come through. There's nothing in the way. There is a little bit of wiring right here. It shouldn't be in the way unless you go really nuts. So just be mindful of that. I did move this one over a little bit. It's really not in the way either. But now I just have to drill holes through those two, and then I'm golden. Then I'm ready to mount everything in. So I'm going to do that next. All right, here we go. Let the drilling commence. Hopefully it goes smooth. Let's find out. All right, that was pretty smooth. And I did not go down and hit any wire. I don't have any wire to worry about on the other side, but I'm still going to be careful. Just a good practice to keep, I think. Okay, let's get lined up. There we go. Okay. Took the guts off. You'll notice I did put a rag under there to catch any shavings or anything, but everything stayed on top, I think, so I'm not real worried. Go one more time real quick. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now I'll grab the screws, make sure they fit in the holes, and then hopefully we can assemble everything back together. Okay, a couple tips for you. Make sure, if you're doing this, that you put the 1-inch little balls on before you mount this. Much easier to do here on the workbench than up there once this is attached to the truck. Got all the hardware here. By the way, everything that I'm using, I'll list below. There'll be links for all of this stuff, so if you're interested in trying this yourself. This is the aluminum bar that I cut earlier. It's going to go underneath to kind of stabilize everything. It'll sandwich the plastic of the dash in between. So now we need to go put it in. Okay, I've got everything in. Let's see if I can turn the camera around. You guys maybe can see underneath. There you go. I used a piece of tape to actually tape up my bottom bracket, if you will, which worked quite well. Trying to do that and thread washers and nuts at the same time, kind of a pain. So that's what it looks like from the bottom. That's what it looks like from the top. Believe me, it is not going anywhere. Now, you may be wondering, where did the mat go? Well, I took the mat out. Unfortunately, I drilled holes. Here's a tip for you if you're doing this. Don't use the mat. The problem is when you torque down, screw this thing down tight, it makes the mat bunch up on the edges. So it didn't look good. I didn't like it. So I just decided to do away with it. Now, one other tip I'll give you. At first, I had used locking nuts on this. Unless you have He-Man hands, trying to tighten that down with the awkwardness of the whole project is about impossible. So I went with your old traditional nuts and used Loctite on them to make sure they don't break free. I did use blue Loctite, so just on the threads of the nut to make sure everything stays nice and tight. And believe me, it is tight. It isn't going anywhere. I wouldn't crank it so that you crack your dash, but I would sandwich it in there pretty darn tight. That's it. It's in. Now I have to put the rest of the truck back together. Hopefully I don't drop any screws down there. By the way, having a rag under there did come in very handy. I dropped the washers and the nuts a couple of times and it caught them so they didn't fall down behind anywhere. That's my other tip for you guys. Let me go ahead and get this back together and then we'll take a look once I'm done and I'll show you what I'm doing. Here's a little tip for you. Putting those screws back in the radio that are way back and you don't want to drop, just use a little bit of painter's tape. Tape them down to your socket. It won't fall out, and when you pull it off, it comes right away from the painter's tape. Just a tip for you. All right, everything is put back together. There were no issues. Everything fit perfectly. I broke nothing. So that's good. There is my unit sitting on the dash. I think it looks pretty darn slick. I'll show you what it's supposed to do. I'm actually waiting for a part, of course, like everybody else with everything else. But I can give you an idea. This is one of the parts that I have. This is the little arm that's going to go on here that another ball will connect on the other end with a magnet. I'm waiting for that part. I will show you. It's going to be what I have in the Tacoma. So I'll show you in a second, but so you get the idea. This will go on like so. And then you tighten everything up. There'll be the other part on the other side, of course. It'll be tightened up like that, adjusted down. It's a bit high now, but so you guys can see it. And then the phone will be right here on the front of it. Should work pretty cool. Let me show you in the Tacoma, the finished product. This will give you an idea. It's going to be the same kind of setup as this. This is the little piece on the back. These are actually a little smaller, I see. That probably would have been a little bit better, actually, but that's okay. And then the magnet part here that, of course, the phone is going to go ahead and stick to just like that. That's going to be what I'm going for. I've got the hard part done. All I'm waiting for is this piece here that I can put my magnet on, and then we'll be golden. All right, that's it. That's the finished product. There it is. It came out exactly like I had envisioned it, so I'm happy about that. I could have used any of the other sizes that I had. Actually, any of them will work. It just depends on matter of preference, I suppose. So who knows? Now I guess I've got 3 extra brackets and bottom pieces as well. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of my homemade cell phone mount, or camera mount, or radio mic mount, or iPad mount. Whatever you want to put up there. It should work for any of that kind of stuff. Leave a comment. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, if you're interested, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about my 2020 Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.